Hello, everyone. I'm Boa, and this is Shivani. We did our analysis on Road to Safety, a study on Chicago crashes. Let me get started with our three key findings. First, dark lighting is the most common among the high damage accidents, which includes accidents that results in high money damage and also the high fatal injuries. Secondly, Independence Day is the deadliest national holiday with the most number of crashes. And lastly, fatal accidents happen mostly on Sunday, even though the total number of accidents are actually higher on Friday. The motivation behind this came from our background. Both of the city that we came from have the very bad traffic situations, and while we were searching for those information, we came across that Chicago is the second city in the world with the highest traffic delay time. This amount of delay time that they had spending on the street, it results in more car accidents occurred in Chicago, and roughly once every 6 minutes in Chicago, there's a car accident. In 2021, more than 1,000 people died in car crashes, which is the highest number of traffic fatalities in states since 2005. We used the data set from data.gov, which is the traffic crashes in Chicago cities. It is a record of each row is a car crash from March 2013 to September 2023. We have almost 800,000 records with 49 columns. Each column consists of information about accident conditions, the cause of the accident, the location, date and time, and also impact and damage, both in money term and also the number of injuries. And we did our analysis in mainly three parts. What are the causes? Where are these happening? And also when is it happening? Our analysis is targeting towards provide information to public officer or government agency, for example, Department of Transportation, to be informed about the policy on going forward. Let me get started with the first question. So the first question is, what are the causes for the majority of the accident in specifically environmental conditions that leads to high damage or injuries? In this analysis, we plot average total number of high, like fatal injuries and incapacitating injury against the average damages in money term. And then we found out that dark lightning, icy snowy road, malfunctioning traffic control devices, and worn road surfaces and debris, which are common among those severe accidents, which result in like top right corner of the scatter plot. And moving on to the second question, where have most crashes happen, an area that the public official could focus on the national holidays. Let me get started with the beats, introduction of two beats. Chicago beats is a Chicago division into different little area that the police are used. And in our data set, we have information of beat of occurrence of each accident, and we are doing analysis on those. And the first finding we had was the top 5 beats with most accident in Chicago. It comes up with beat 8, 12, 25, 16, and 1. And the beats with least accident in Chicago throughout the study period is beat 25, 15, 7, and 2.
Moving on, we plotted a graph with a list of national holidays and holidays specific to Chicago on the x-axis, on the y-axis, the number of crashes. So contradicting the popular belief that New Year's Day is generally associated with large number of crashes, it was actually Independence Day which was associated. And there have been several case studies published by law firms which even call it the deadliest of all diseases, of all national holidays. Next, we wanted to see of the beats in Chicago and on which holidays is it are the most number of crashes happening. And we plotted a heat map for this with the days of the days on the x-axis and the beats on the y-axis. And as you can see, yellow points to the maximum number of crashes. And if you see, it's Independence Day and beat number 11, where most number of crashes have been observed. Moving on to our last question, where we're going to see when do the crashes peak in terms of season, day of the week, time period during a day. First, we plotted a graph between the days of the week and the total number of crashes, and we found that it was Sunday on which the total number of crashes were really high. When we plotted a graph between for the fatal crashes, and when we plotted a graph between the total number of crashes and the days of the week, we found that it was Friday when the crashes were high, but the crashes on all the other days were lesser than the average of crashes observed in this study period. Next, we wanted to go into two other levels of analysis with respect to season and time category. This is actually the graph shows the highest time category for each season during which the total number of crashes were high. If you look at the graph, the x-axis has the days and the y-axis has the total number of crashes, but the distribution across all these graphs is actually all the seasons is pretty similar. And despite there are certain time periods which are higher for winter and fall, which is 4 to 8 p.m. and spring and summer, it is 12 to 4 p.m. All of the four seasons have their highest crashes recorded on Friday, which is in line with our previous analysis. Moving on to our next graph, this is again shows the days of the week on the x-axis and the total number of fatal crashes on the y-axis during our study period. But here the distribution across the seasons are not the same. And one thing that we can observe is that while Saturday is the highest for summer and winter, it is Friday and Thursday for spring, and during fall it is Sunday. But what we can observe here is that the peak periods are between midnight to 4 a.m. and 8 p.m. to midnight, and it is the same it repeats for summer and winter. But all of these are happening actually in darkness, which means like this is in line with our first analysis finding, which said that it is mostly darkness, which is a common factor for most of the high impact accidents. Coming to our summary, where we propose recommendations for each of the questions that we addressed. For the what question regarding the environmental conditions, we have to ensure that the roads are well lit and ice and snow need to be cleared at regular frequent intervals. And we need to keep monitoring traffic lights for any malfunction. Roads must be kept free of debris and bumps. Moving on to our next question about where. In general, we found the hot spots in beats. So we have to make sure that more safety measures need to be made at these following areas. Mapping these beat categories to neighborhoods, it is more security is needed. More safety measures need to be taken in 63rd Street, Milwaukee Avenue, South State Street, South Blue Island, and Grand Avenue. And we had also seen that on Independence Day, beat 11 had the highest. So we need to make sure that a lot of stringent rules and safety measures are taken here, since so that the trend doesn't repeat over the following years. Coming to our next question of when. We had seen that Friday had the most number of crashes and Sunday had the most number of fatal crashes across the year. And we had also figured out specific days and time period during each season. So we have to make sure that there's a lot of patrol and safety measures that are taken during these time period in order to, again, not follow the same trend in the upcoming years. Thank you.
Thank you.